Hello, I'm Dr. Anne Alwis from the Department of Classical and Archaeological Studies at the University of Kent. This video is about heroism in the Aeneid. It's a particularly interesting aspect because basically a lot of students become extremely annoyed with Aeneas, the hero of the Aeneid. This is because they believe that he doesn't behave as a hero should. They think he's basically extremely whiny. This is a man who has a task of supreme importance. He has to found Rome. He is the lead character of a patriotic epic. Not only that, but his mother is an actual goddess, Venus, the goddess of erotic love. However, he's not a happy man, despite his family background, his genetics, you might say. And despite the fact that he is told that he is fated to found Rome. In the first few books, he's constantly in despair. He cries, he has no idea what he's doing, he has no plan, he gets lost, he wants to give up. So here's the problem. Virgil is creating a national epic. Why does he present his hero in this way? But how should a hero behave? And where do our ideas stem from? Because the Aeneid is an epic, our ideas of heroism are coloured by the heroes in the Iliad. They follow the so-called Homeric code. This means your honour is more important than your life. You need to die heroically and be commemorated for it. If neither of these happens, you are not a hero. This is why, at the beginning of the Odyssey, for example, Odysseus is so desperate not to die at sea. It is an unheroic death. No one can rescue his body, and so he cannot have a grave, and no one can go to that grave to commemorate him. This idea haunts him. We are used to Homeric warriors being supremely self-confident. Figures such as Diomedes, Ajax, and of course Achilles have no problem asserting themselves. They are men of action. But Aeneas appears to be the opposite. He lacks confidence, he is the man without a plan. He spends a lot of time asking his father Anchises what to do. So we return to the question why Virgil created this type of hero. Our first clue is the name of the epic. The Aeneid is about the founding of Rome, but it is not called Rome. It is named after its protagonist. And that gives us the first hint, that in this epic, the man counts as much as his mission. Another clue comes in the prologue, the first 33 lines of the epic. You would expect a patriotic epic to be full of details about Rome being the best at everything. This does not happen. Look at its last line. So heavy was the cost of founding the Roman race. What a strange way to end a prologue about Augustus's Rome. It is hardly triumphant. In the prologue, Virgil also talks about Aeneas' sufferings. Great too were his sufferings in war. And later he adds, why did she, Juno, drive a man to such endless hardship and such suffering? Why is there so much emphasis on suffering and hardship? It's curious until you remember the civil wars and the devastation they caused. Virgil has lived through them. He knows what it means to lose people you care about. He knows how family and friendships are destroyed and how you can lose everything. And so one of the major themes of the Aeneid is actually labor, which is translated as toil or hardship or suffering. The story of the foundations of Rome is not the emphasis. The emphasis is on the labor, the toil, the suffering, which is necessary for the achievement. So when Virgil portrays Aeneas as a man in despair, he's actually showing us his understanding of humanity. When you read the Aeneid, you will need to remember that Aeneas undergoes severe trauma. He's surrounded by death and loss. He loses everything that he cares about. His wife, his father, Dido, the woman he later loves. It's also very important to remember that Aeneas loses his home, his roots. You must remember that he's a migrant, a refugee from a war zone with all the mental and emotional turmoil that event inevitably brings. And here's the thing, for what? To found Rome. But will he ever see Rome in all its glory? No, and he knows that. Despite the fact that he will never see Rome, despite the fact that he never asked for this task, and despite the immense trauma that he suffers, Aeneas sets his teeth and he continues. And that is why he is a hero. Yes, he despairs, and yes, he goes around in circles, but that just makes him human and relatable. Virgil marvelously gives us a very human hero. Virgil shows us that it is the effort Aeneas makes that matters, not the end in itself. If Rome is to be worth anything given her turbulent history, her people have to put in the effort. This is why one of the main adjectives Virgil uses to describe Aeneas is pious, which means pious, or it's translated as pious, and it comes from the word pietas, which means piety. But pietas is not about being pious in terms of being religious, as we mean it. It means duty. Duty to your family, your country or fatherland, and to the gods. You owe them. You need to do what is right, no matter what. And that is what Aeneas does. Here he is, carrying his elderly father out of a war zone, the embodiment of pietas. It is no surprise that the other adjective, the other epithet used to describe him is magnanimous, which we translate as magnanimity. For us, magnanimity means generosity, but for the Romans, it meant greatness of mind and soul, quite literally, magnus meaning great, animus meaning soul or life. Aeneas displays greatness of soul, and that is the case for him being a hero.